Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast for two guys podcast for two guys watch random movies on the internet thanks to the almighty algorithm. All hail Algo. All hail Algo. I'm Noah Saturn, and with me is Kyle Mulford. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm hailing rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Together, we are good.
Should we just
Right,
dig into this little episode?
Yep, so this is one of our mini episodes called What You Watchin', where we just talk about what movies you've been watching. Kyle, you can go first this time.
Okay. I'll start off with a classic here that I watched on DVD on family movie night. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet the Invisible Man.
Nice.
I've talked about this many times. We watch these. Our family watches these. But Abbott and Costello meet the whatever a lot, especially during Halloween. But put that one on for family movie night. So I won't say any more about that. I've talked about it a million times. Then continuing to watch all of the theatrical releases dropping on HBO Max, I watched Judas and the Black Messiah. It's about.
I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, it's got Daniel Kaluuya playing Fred Hampton, who was kind of the leader of the Chicago division. Yeah, it was the Chicago division of the Black Panthers. And then you have Martin Sheen played J. Edgar Hoover for like 2 seconds in the movie, but like in this terrible makeup. But it was basically about this guy played by Lakeith Stanfield, who was like a small-time criminal, stole stuff, and he got caught, and the FBI brings him in and said, well, you can either, when he got caught, he was impersonating a federal officer, so they're like, you can either go to jail for, a couple months for stealing a car, and then go to jail for years for impersonating an officer, or you can work for us and infiltrate the Black Panthers. So Jesse Plemons was the FBI agent who sends Lakeith Stanfield into the group, gets in there, and it's all about basically. I mean, it's history, setting it up so that the FBI could go in and just basically murder Fred Hampton. So it is really good, and Daniel Kaluuya is great as Fred Hampton. So I would really recommend this one. Then I watched on Amazon Prime a 1990 movie called Maniac Cop 2.
Two Maniac, two Cop.
Yes. Unfortunately, the first one is not streaming anywhere. I think it's streaming on Shudder.
That's a shame.
I don't have that one. I don't have Shudder, so I can't watch the first one. Directed by William Lustig. He directed all 3 Maniac Cops and also the movie called Maniac. Written by Larry Cohen and starring Robert Davi as a detective trying to figure out who's doing all these killings. And of course, it's an undead Robert Zadar, the giant chin himself, nice. Which is kind of funny because the first movie has both chins, Robert Zadar and Bruce Campbell. And then Bruce Campbell's in the beginning of this movie, at the beginning of this movie. It's quite fun. And then my daughter and I dug into my Blu-ray pack of the Universal Monsters again, and we got started on The Mummy from 1932 with Boris Karloff. And it's been a long time since I've seen this. I kind of forgot the storyline of this. It was a really, really good movie.
Yeah, that one definitely holds up really well.
Yeah, so I'll be interested. I think we're gonna try and dig into the rest of them eventually here, but yeah, that one was really good. Then I watched on IMDb TV. I watched Maniac Cop 3: Badge of Silence. And again, we have Robert Zadar coming back as the undead. Well, they killed him again in the second one, and then at the very end, you see his hand break through the coffin and grab his badge. So then that's what they open up with this one. And this one is like a voodoo priest or something bringing back people from the dead, and they bring back Robert Zadar, the cop, or the ex-cop. And Robert Davi is back as the detective again. And this one brings in the cast of Paul Gleason and Jackie Earle Haley and Robert Forster. So
nice.
As the Maniac Cop 2 and 3, they're just kind of fun, dark, weird early 90s movies. So And then I watched another horror
I
movie
mean,
called The Changeling from 1980. I got that one on DVD. And
was
this is
Robert
what,
Zadar in this one?
unfortunately, no. To get more Robert
Well,
Zadar, I'm
that's
going to have to go
disappointing.
watch, what was it? That Samurai
Samurai
Cop.
Cop.
And I don't know if I'm ready for that. No,
I love Samurai Cop.
The Changeling is a horror movie with George C. Scott. Beginning of the movie, he's on vacation with his family, his wife and his child, and their car breaks down on an icy road, and he goes over to a payphone and then watches a plow just like decimate his family and their car. So he decides to move. I think he moved out west or something and become a. He was a composer and he became a professor, a music professor at some university. And he rented this old historic house that hadn't been lived in for years. And weird things start happening. And then it turns out like a little boy died there. And so then, he has to hold a seance and figure out what's going on. And there's a lot of things in here that you
Turns out it was
see.
Casper.
Yeah, yes, it was a very friendly ghost. There's a lot of stuff you see it that's in this movie from 1980 that you see in subsequent horror films throughout the 80s and 90s. So it's a really good one. I would recommend that one. It's very creepy, kind of a mystery. So then on Disney Plus, I watched the 2004 film National Treasure with our National Treasure Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, breaking in and stealing the Declaration of Independence to find a treasure that was hidden by the Masons, the stonemasons. This one's fun. I haven't seen this one probably since a couple years after it came out, but I liked it back then, and you know what? It still holds up as a fun adventure movie. You got
Yeah.
Sean Bean as the bad guy chasing down the same treasure, and Nicolas Cage is trying to beat him to it. John Voight as Nicolas Cage's dad, and then Christopher Plummer as his grandpa. Harvey Keitel as I think it was like an FBI agent or something after them, and then Diane Kruger is in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun. So recommendation. It's on Disney Plus.
We gotta finish. We gotta finish the trilogy. We got National Treasure 1 and 2. We gotta finish the trilogy, man. You need
was
that
there
third
was there
movie.
was there supposed to be a third one?
No, but there should be.
Doesn't he like kidnap the president or something like that in the second one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's on Disney Plus as well. I might have to go and watch that one. Although I don't remember that one as much, which means it probably wasn't as good.
Or it
Uh,
was great and you just missed it.
I might have. I might have. Then I was just gonna sit and watch a movie with my wife one night, and surfing through, I came across on Prime Grosse Point Blank from 1997. She hadn't seen it for a while, so it was kind of new to her, even though she had seen it. And I used to watch this movie a lot. I love Grosse Point Blank. What's his face? John Cusack plays a hitman who's kind of depressed and he's not feeling it anymore. And so his secretary, played by his sister Joan Cusack, I I love Joan Cusack, um, convinces him to like take a job that's in his hometown so he can go to his 10-year anniversary. And there he meets up with Minnie Driver, who he stood up 10 years before on prom night and never came back. Uh, and
Oh
so he's got to do
no.
a job there, but he also goes to his class reunion. It's a lot of fun. Dan Aykroyd plays another hitman in here, trying to recruit him into a hitman union.
Nice.
So have you seen that one?
The fact that they have a unit is really funny. I have never seen it, no.
Okay, this is one of my favorite movies, and it's on Amazon Prime. I really, really recommend you watch this one. So much fun. Then
Nice.
on HBO Max, I watched that 2019 film Queen and Slim. So another Daniel Kaluuya movie, and he was good in this one too. And so
Nice.
was Joe. So was Jodie Turner Smith as Queen. I don't know if I know her from anything. I couldn't really place her. Couple on the worst Tinder date ever. They they meet at a restaurant for a first date after, I think it was Tinder that they met on, and then as they're going home, they get pulled over by a cop because he's reaching for his phone or something like that and swerves, and then it's the whole racist cop thing, and then things escalate, and in self defense, he ends up grabbing Daniel Kaluuya ends up grabbing the cop's gun and shooting him. And then they go, and then
Whoops.
instead of sticking around, they go on the run because they're not going to believe it's self-defense, So,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a statement on that where it's like, and I will say that scene was very tense and well done and really makes you think, because it's just like, yeah, they get pulled over, a black person gets pulled over by a white cop in some cities, they're fearing the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. Whereas, like, if we got pulled over, it'd be like, oh, hey, what's up? What did I do? So,
Exactly.
but then the rest of the movie, though, kind of, I checked my watch probably 5 times. And one of those times I checked I was checking how much time was left in the movie with the display. At one point I checked,
Oh no.
and then I checked again at another point thinking that like 45 to 50 minutes had gone by. No, it was only 20 minutes gone by. just it just was so
Oh man.
poorly paced, and there was some stuff in there that was, it just felt forced in. They meet a lot of people on the road, and different things happen. They meet a little boy who looks up to them, and then they cut back to that little boy after they leave him, and he gets in between cops and like protesters that are protesting for them, and shoots the cop. And it didn't feel like, it felt like it was kind of jammed in there. It didn't flow very well, because there's another scene where like they're on the run and they'll stop because there's horses out there, and they're like, oh, let's go look at the horses. Why? You're on the run from the cops. And you want to know why? It was so they could get the line in, my dad always said that the worst thing that white men feared was a black man on a horse. Why is that? Because they have to look up to him. I'm like, we've heard that line before. Like, why did you stop the movie to put that line in? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It just poorly paced. I well acted, poorly paced. So, which was kind of disappointing. But then I watched another movie on HBO Max from 2019, Black Christmas. This is that remake,
Nice.
and
This is
I'll
like the
tell you,
third
like,
version.
yeah, and I don't think I've seen the second version. When would that come out?
It's like
I
two
don't.
thousands.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's pretty much a departure from the original, other than the fact that she's in a sorority, because that was a sorority house in the original, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this one, in the original, it's just one guy's hiding out in their house. You don't know who he is. I don't even think you ever know who he
Yeah. You
is.
never see him. It's always from his perspective. Yeah.
So this one is Imogen Poots. I love her name, Imogen Poots. I actually like her as an actress. She's fun to watch too. She's the main actress, and she's in this sorority, and there's a couple sororities, and actually this is a really heavy-handed girl power movie. All men suck, but it's really,
I mean, they do. So
yeah, it's really heavy-handed, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. She plays someone who was,
nice.
assaulted by a frat brother, a couple of years prior, and of course, it was one of those cases where they didn't really believe her, but like I think he got in trouble, but they're all like, "Oh, getting my frat brother in trouble," blah blah blah. Well, they come in and stir up stuff at the frat again, and then it turns out like this whole. I actually don't even want to say much because it's a really cheesy movie, but it's a lot of fun. And I would actually recommend it. So I don't
Nice.
even want to give away any spoilers for what happens. And it is a departure from the original. So you're not, it's a remake in name only mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh then the final movie I watched the last couple of weeks was another one on HBO Max called Richard Jewell from 2019. The Clint Eastwood directed movie about the 1996 Atlanta Olympics bombing. Um, this was really good.
Mm-hmm.
The Richard Jewell was played by a guy named Paul Walter Hauser. I'm not sure really know what else. I think I looked up and he's been in a bunch of stuff, but I wasn't really seeing anything other than he's in Cobra Kai. I think I saw him there, but
Mm-hmm.
he plays a guy who he's been wanting to be a cop his whole life, and he's kind of slow on the uptake, but he is a smart guy. Like, he knows all the cop laws, knows like all the procedures, everything. He studied it, he reads the books, and he but he takes it a little too far sometimes. So like, he got in trouble as a deputy at
Mhm.
one town and like got fired, and then like a university fired him as a campus guard because he took it too far with like pulling people over on the highway and stuff. So like it's played, and I don't know how he was in real life, but it's played that he really took law enforcement seriously. Well, then he discovers a bomb at the Olympics because he decides to be a security guard there because he's looking for more work. And he sees a suspicious bag. Everyone's laughing at him, and then the bomb goes off, and he's a hero. But then the FBI looks into his past and goes, "Oh, he's got like problems. He's been like fired from this university, fired from this police, force, and all this stuff." And so they're like, "Oh, they started looking at him as a suspect because he's the what he wants to be the hero." Um,
Mhm.
and it's really devastating seeing this guy's life get like just torn apart when he saved lots of lives. So it's got a good cast too. Besides the main guy, Kathy Bates plays his mom. John Hamm plays the asshole FBI agent. Sam Rockwell plays his lawyer. I always love Sam Rockwell. And then Olivia Wilde plays a reporter in this, and I didn't I didn't really like that because in the movie they implied she slept with the FBI agent to get information from him.
Mhm.
And looking up trivia, they're like, no, she never did any such thing. So like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so take the other than the mom, you take the other one female role and reduce her to a reporter who sleeps with people for her stories. I'm like, really?
Mhm.
So I mean, that was kind of disappointing, especially when if she really didn't do that in real life. If she did in real life, okay, portray that, but that's a cheap thing to do in a movie.
Yeah.
So, but it really was a good movie overall, though. So I'd recommend that. So I've got a lot of recommends this week, and
Nice.
that's what I've been watching.
Well, it was a big week for me because I watched 4 entire movies. Most of
Lazy bum.
Yeah, yeah, hey, listen, I was busy. I had like my sister was staying with us and she has 2 small children. So I was busy playing with a toddler and hanging out with a 6-month-old. So
You avoided movies for real life and family. Ah,
I
how
know I'm
dare you?
terrible, right? All right, so I guess I'll go through them then, and so here's what I have. First one I watched, I finally watched John Wick. This is
Nice.
actually the second time I've watched it, but I barely remembered anything from the first time, so it felt fresh. Yep, stylized action in the best sort of way. How can't believe they killed his dog. Everyone who they probably all deserve to die because they
You,
killed his dog.
you killed John Wick's dog?
Yeah.
You've brought death to us all. I love that movie.
Yes. Wish Willem Dafoe would have survived, just because I like Willem Dafoe and whatever he's in.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, fun action movie. Can't wait to watch the second one and the third one.
Yeah, it's a good series overall.
hmm
A lot of fun.
Next, I watched the 1997 Disney version of Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston.
I think this is one that I think we have this on DVD because my daughter likes this one.
Yeah, this one had just recently been put on Disney Plus, and I had never really seen it before. So I had a good time. It's fun. It's really sweet, really charming. I didn't realize Jason Alexander was in it.
Oh, that's right, he is. I one time she was watching it and I was kind of just like watching it in the background, so I wasn't paying a lot of attention. But yeah, I remember him being in that too. Yeah, cool.
Next, I watched The Mouse That Roared. This was on the Criterion Channel. This was a movie I'd wanted to watch for a long time because it's a comedy with Peter Sellers, and he plays 3 different roles in this one. Because it's about the small European country of Grand Fenwick, and he plays sort of like the Duchess, who is sort of like the Duchess of Grand Fenwick, who is the leader of the country, and then he also plays like the Duke, who's kind of like the head of the the head prime minister type of guy, and then he also plays like this guy who's supposed to be the hereditary head of the military. And the joke is that they're because the founder of Grand Fenwick slept with everybody. That's why they all look alike and they're all related. The joke is it's this tiny country, and they realize that, hey, wait a minute, So our main export is this wine, and like some winery in California is like, oh whoops, they made a knockoff and then calling it like Grand Enwick instead of Grand Fenwick. So that way we're losing all of our money. The best way to stimulate our economy would like, what if we declared war on the United States and then immediately lost so that we could get a bunch of aid money? And so they send like a bunch of guys over to the U.S., but then they're still all dressed up like with like bows and arrows and dressed up like they're in like medieval soldiers or whatever with chainmail and everything.
Nice.
Of course, when they happen to get there, whoops, something happens where like turns out that like they land in New York and they're testing this bomb called like the Q bomb, which is like even more powerful than like the atomic bomb. So everyone's gone. So it looks like, oh, I guess we just took this. So then somehow, through a weird turn of events, they were able to like abduct the inventor of the Q bomb, his daughter, and the bomb itself. And because this is like the greatest explosive ever made, and of course, the joke is it's shaped like a football, so it's literally the nuclear football. And so it's just really funny because it's just gets silly and sillier. Only like an hour and 20 minutes. And if you like Peter Sellers, you like sort of this absurd comedy making fun of everything and just because it's a very silly movie down through all the way. And one I want to see a lot because I heard it's had really good Peter Sellers. So 3 times of Peter Sellers in one movie.
I'm down for that. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to seek that one out.
Last one I watched was Saboteur, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Robert Cummings and Norman Lloyd. And this one is Robert Cummings works at like a munitions factory, and this is made during World War II. So he's like working building airplanes and stuff. And all of a sudden, there's a bomb, and he and his buddy try and put out a fire. So he gives his buddy a fire extinguisher. Whoops, the fire extinguisher was full of gas. And of course, he gets blamed for it when he realizes, no, it can't be me. It's this other guy, Frank Fry. So this is a classic man on the run scenario, trying to go across the country on the trail of this Frank Fry, who is the real saboteur, and try and catch him. So it's classic Hitchcock. Definitely a lot of fun. I'm not that familiar with like 1940s Hitchcock. I'm more comfortable with 1950s Hitchcock. But yeah, this is definitely a good one.
Yeah, this is one I haven't seen, so there's a lot that there's actually quite a few Hitchcocks that I have not seen that I would like to see. So you start running off that bucket list.
Yeah, even the Hitchcock that's like not as well known, a lesser Hitchcock is still a pretty good time.
Yeah.
And
A
this one
lesser
is really fun.
Hitchcock is still a Hitchcock.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So
And
that's everything.
that's all four.
Well, a little slow week. That's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you got what nieces, nephews, you said?
Yeah, when you have to take care of like a toddler who's just turned 2, so just running everywhere.
Yeah,
Life tends
take advantage of those times.
exactly. They're not young for very long, so it's but yeah, real life gets in the way, and that's okay too.
Well, see, now when they get older, then you'll be watching the movies with them.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, that'll be our show for today. And go ahead and comment below. Let us know what you've been watching. And you can find us on Twitter at AwesomeKM.
And I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
And we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. And you can email us at we don't know what to watch at gmail.com. And
Until then, I'm Brandy, and you shot my dog. You shouldn't Cinderella's dog.
Oh, I shouldn't shoot Cinderella's dog.
Yep.
Till then, keep watching.
Keep watching.